Sorry about that. So as I was saying, so this sounds like your kind of thing. I definitely recommend them. They're a very good band. And as I was saying, they had a weird backstory. Like their father was into palm reading, and like his mother like made all these predictions about his life, stating that like he would marry like a blonde woman, and he did, and all these other things, and this couple other things, and like two of the few things, or like three or four things, came true, and so he wanted to make one of the predictions that his daughters would be successful rock stars true. So that's what he set out to do. He set out to create, a super group comprised of his inexperienced daughters. um, it's a bizarre story. I would love to know more about their family and uh, and like their whole beliefs and like what their childhood was like. I can only imagine what those girls' life was like growing up around him and around that family. um, one of the girls in the band later on said something to the extent of, uh, she said something along the lines of like, uh, he was difficult and temperamental and could be difficult to get along with, and they kind of was basically like, we're just gonna let him, we're just gonna do what he says and kind of like let him direct us, and we'll just try to do our best. Um, and that's what they did. They did their best. Um, so another crazy thing in the story of the Shags is their one and only album, "Philosophy of the World," uh, the was supposed to be widely released like a normal album. Um, but the guy who said he was going to press 1,000 copies of their album made off with almost all of them, as well as the money their father paid to press these albums. So only a few of them were left, and they were distributed to like local DJs in the area. So for the longest time, the Shags were only like a local band within the town they were from. They played a regular gig, I think, at the city hall, I believe. Like I think like once a week they would like play. I guess maybe it's like maybe they had like activity nights or something. I don't know that part. I don't know. I recall like I do recall reading something about like they would play regularly, and since like they only had a few copies of their albums, so DJs would play. They were just more of a a local group. They were kind of this gimmicky thing in their area, and it wasn't until much later that they kind of had this discovery, this more widespread discovery. Um, uh, a lot of people speculate that the earliest kind of exposure they had on a more wider level was on the Dr. Demento show. When Frank Zappa was on, he was playing some songs he liked, and a few of them were Shags songs, and that kind of led to other people finding out about them and critically reappraising them, and which led to even more acclaim as more and more people kind of discovered them, wrote about them, and kind of got their name more out there than it was. Um, it's not to say they're a household name or anything, but people who are more into kind of outsider music, people who like their music unconventional and off the beaten path, definitely know who they are. And I'm one of those people. I mean, I have a fairly eclectic taste. I like a lot of different genres of music and a lot of different sounds, and I like all kinds of stuff. I like everything from certain top 40 pop hits to very more obscure things or out there things like like Captain Beefheart or Wing or or Stevie Moore. It was more kind of obscure guys who do more stranger, less mainstream stuff. So I'm glad for their, wider exposure. I'm glad that they kind of got out there more, and I'm glad, people are able to discover them now. I'm glad I was able to. And that's why I did, this video, is I wanted to get their name out there and introduce them to hopefully you guys. And hopefully you guys can listen to them for yourselves and see what you think. I'm playing in the background here, but I want, it's better to just kind of put on headphones and listen to them on your own. So anyways, resuming the story of the Shags. So after their album didn't do so well, they just stayed local, played live around the area, and they eventually disbanded in 1975 when their father died. And after that, they kind of went back to their own lives, quit doing music. There was, like I said, a few releases later, like there was a release in the early 80s of rarities and unreleased things. Their debut and one and only album got a reissue several years later when the band NRBQ lauded them and loved them and talked their label into giving their album a re-release. Their stuff has been featured in movies and very more recently TV shows things. So the references and things to them and their songs have kind of crept in here and there, and they got some stuff in pop culture kind of mentioned. They've even briefly rebanded it a few points, like to play like shows and play with different bands. Let's see. I was looking at one of their most recently. They rebanded to play a show in 2017. So I mean, they've had this off and on, mostly off career, but it's great that they're doing. It's great that they did what they did. We got to hear it, and more people can listen to them and dig them as much as I do. So, anyways, this is my video on the Shags. I hope you listen to them. I hope you like them. If you don't, then I mean, that's understandable. I mean, people like what they like and they don't like what they don't. But yeah, anyways, I just wanted to do something different, kind of talk about something I don't normally talk about, and kind of change up the pace a bit. So anyways, I appreciate you guys watching. I'll try to do another video soon. Sorry I haven't done one in a few days, but I've been, doing a bunch of different stuff and reading stuff and, watching stuff and reading stuff to talk about in other videos. So, I'll try to do another video, hopefully more quickly than it took to make this one. But I appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you have a good night. So, till next time, I will see you.